The national champion is clad in big orange.
The pitch. Swing and a miss. That's the ball game. The national champion is clad in big orange.
At Summit and Destiny have met 7 times before. Tonight is number 8.
Tennessee Volunteers have wrapped up an SEC outright regular season title. Connect with
the SEC runs through Rocky Top. Tennessee wins the SEC regular season crown for the 2nd consecutive season.
the 1-0. In the air, right center field. Cross on the move. Get there. Tennessee walks it off. It's a mismatch. Deep range. Come on now. And don't connect. Robbie Draghi this time. Indeed. Two-hand jam. Down the middle. Got it. Supply is high and again. And he's going to take it. Touchdown, Tennessee.
Hey, how much fun is this?
Man, Rocky Top, this is college football at its absolute best.
This is college athletics at its absolute best, man. Welcome into another episode of the Fanatics Show. A little bit different tonight, as you can tell. I'm Michael. My co-host Skylar, unfortunately, not able to make it tonight. He is working. That's the number one thing that it's important. Got to be able to make a livelihood. But I've got our good friend of the podcast, and someone that's going to be joining us on a regular basis here starting next week. Mr. Jake Arnold is going to join tonight. Jake, how you doing, man?
Man, just living it up. Absolutely elated that we're getting this close. I mean, 9 days away from the football season. Every single year, you get that last game done. You think it's never going to come out, and then we're here, and the rest is history. So couldn't be more happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem, man. Glad that you could join us or join me tonight. Before we get through our rundown, I am going to give you our presenting show sponsor, and that is Chris Smith Insurance. As a homeowner, Chris Smith was once let down by an insurance company. So he decided to start his own agency where instead of feeling like a big company is fighting against you, you'll know that your agent is fighting for you. All insurance is not equal. Trust Chris Smith Insurance. You can contact him at 865-272-3387. Chris Smith Insurance. And they've been a friend of the podcast. They sponsor the podcast pretty much since the beginning. So, Chris Smith, we really appreciate you. Rundown for tonight's show. We got a loaded show tonight. Got some big news to share tonight as well. Starting off, we're going to be talking about the quarterback position group for Tennessee. As you all know, Tennessee did name Joey Aguilar as their QB1, but we'll talk all about that in segment 1. We're also going to mention a little bit about some breaking news from the SEC this season, or starting next season, where there will be a 9-game conference schedule starting next season. Segment 2, we're going to look at Alabama's schedule for this season and give our predictions on it. And then segment 3, we're going to look at Georgia's schedule, give predictions on it. And then special segment 4 that we're going to be having coming up for this season, it is going to be Raking with Jake. Jake is going to give us some predictions for this season, some over-under win totals, possibly a national championship pick in there as well. So looking forward to that. But before we get into segment 1, I will give you our segment 1 sponsor, and that is Optimal Asbestos Services. Optimal Asbestos Services. Oh, sorry, I had the wrong ad pulled up. I should know it by heart by now. Optimal Asbestos Services, your trusted environmental consulting firm. Sorry. You can tell I'm live here, and I'm a little bit thrown off with Skylar not being here tonight. Skylar, I do miss you, by the way. Optimal Asbestos Services offers detailed asbestos inspections and air quality assessments. Whether you're looking to secure your home or workplace, you can trust Optimal Asbestos Services to deliver thorough and reliable solutions. You can contact Jeff Moe at 865-223-3297 for your consultation today, or you can go on the web at optimalasbestosservices.com. So, Jake, quarterbacks. Already mentioned Joey Aguilar, QB1. Any surprise to you?
No, I mean, it was good that we had a quarterback battle. I do think that, Heupel handled this very well. You can't have for the locker room just somebody come in and take heed.
Yeah.
To me, you've got two really really good and capable backups with Merklinger and McIntyre. Two very unique but similar situations. As they get older, they'll differentiate themselves. But it comes down to a couple of things. I mean, if you look at what Aguilar's put on tape, he has more tape, more snaps, more yards than, any of those guys 20, 30, 40. I mean, I didn't look at the stats, but he's got quite a few more yards than probably 100, 200. So
Yeah.
you know what you're getting out of him. Merklinger, to me, he seems like a great guy as far as being able to manage the game. Funny enough, I met him in person the other week at one of our events. Very very good guy. Very personable. It seems cliche. It seems a lot like coach talk, but the guys in the locker room want to have this kind of congealed unification. You want to be able to feel like you can go to your teammate beside you, whether it's across the ball, whether it's you're running back to your hip, and know that you've got somebody there. So I honestly I can't speak more highly of Jake Merklinger as a human being. And then George McIntyre. I mean, if you look at him outside of the weight, I mean, he looks just as good as any quarterback in the SEC, just as far as his throwing mechanics. It's just so difficult in this day and age to be able to really get that starting spot. So Joey Aguilar, absolutely, it makes too much sense. We all knew it was going to be the case. It was just, again, you have to kind of earn your stripes. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I completely agree with everything that you said there. We pretty much knew coming in Joey Aguilar was going to be that guy. He was going to get the starting spot, but you also said it correctly. Coach Heupel handled everything the correct way. He didn't just name Joey Aguilar the starter whenever he first came in. He told him, and after Nico left, Skylar and I came on the show when we first reported all this. I said, I do think that you need to go get a quarterback, but you need to tell him you have a chance to compete for that spot. I'm not going to hand it to you right away. I've got two guys here that I think can handle this offense and can win games for us. So I have that in the room. I'm not just going to hand you this spot. You got to earn it. And, Aguilar went out and he earned it. Does he still have stuff that he needs to work on? Absolutely. But you also said it yourself. He has tons more experience than these other two guys. Granted, not at the Power 5 level, but in his 2 seasons at Appalachian State, he has thrown for a total of 6,760 yards, a 60.1 completion percentage. Granted, last year was a little bit down at 55.9%. 56 touchdowns, 24 interceptions, and those 24 interceptions to most people would be, eyebrow raising. You're not really liking those numbers, and I agree with you. But when you go back and you actually look at the game film, his junior season, he threw for 3,757 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. That's a 3-to-1 ratio of touchdowns and interceptions, less than an interception a game.
Yeah, and I
And
think
then
Nico had maybe a 2-to-1 rather than a 3-to-1, if I remember correctly.
yeah, and he only threw for, what was it, 19 touchdowns total, and there was only, I believe we did the numbers. It was 5 of those that came against big opponents in Oklahoma, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, those teams right there.
Yeah.
Um,
There was a stat I saw, and I tried to verify it as much as I could. There, from what I understand, and trying to put it through ChatGPT just to refine it without really getting a spot check, it looks like out of all the 24 interceptions he's thrown in the last 2 years, only 2 of them were when they were tied or they were leading the game, which is a phenomenal indicator of the gamesmanship that he has. To me, that shows you a lot about a guy. It's very easy to get caught in what somebody does bad, but like you just said, I mean, the guy puts up numbers. Now he's not going to be the guy that's, granted, give it to Nico, he could run. But he's not going to be the guy that's going to just go off. He's not going to just run off in the first progression. So
right.
It's exciting. I think he fits our offense in a lot of different ways that people may not realize. Being able to read and progress through your reads at a high level is very important. A lot of film talk and just looking at what they showed in the Ohio State game shows that, Nico a lot of times tried to not even really roll out, but just laterally move.
Yeah.
And even on top of that, was doing it in a point where it was giving up a lot of the play. This offense, you have to be able to basically make a decision off of a cut, see it, turn your head if it's not there, and then read again. You're making 2 reads, half. I think Aguilar fits us a lot better. Is he as talented arm wise as Nico? Probably
Absolutely
not.
not.
No, but you don't need that. You need to find a guy who understands systematically what we're trying to accomplish. We're a run first team. I think anybody who's a Vol fan understands that by now, even though 2022 is misleading.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, if you're able to establish the run, that opens up so much more in 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4, even in 2nd and 10. I mean, a lot of teams like to run it, but there's just so much there, I think, that's for the taking for Joey. And I just listening to him, he seems very poised. He seems like he's not going to get out of his head. He knows where his mistakes are, and he's going to move forward and play ball for us. So it's exciting, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And you mentioned the number of interceptions that he had when they were tied or leading, only being 2 of those 24.
Mm-hmm.
I can believe that. And especially in last year's numbers where he threw for 23 touchdowns and 14 interceptions, he had to try to force the ball down the field because the defense for Appalachian State last year was just god awful. Like it reminded me, honestly, it reminded me of the defense for Tennessee in 22, just how bad that was. That's what it reminded me of. He had to make sure that he could get the ball downfield and score points for his offense, so they had a shot at even winning the game. So I completely agree with you there about the interceptions. I obviously probably need to do a little bit of fact checking to make sure that's true. But I would say that's probably pretty close to the truth as far as the amount of interceptions thrown when leading or tied. And, Skylar and I, I'm not sure about you, but Skylar and I are both, avid listeners of the Eric Ainge Show. Eric Ainge, former quarterback at Tennessee, and he knows what he's talking about whenever it comes to quarterbacks. He's gone to practice, and he said that you could see a clear difference in the decision-making from Joey Aguilar compared to Merklinger and McIntyre because he's been there. He has done it in a game. He knows the decisions that need to be made. Obviously, he wants to make some of those, I guess, quote unquote, hero throws, but he knows what the safe choice is. And if he doesn't have to take that throw, he's not going to. And that's something that McIntyre and Merklinger still have to learn. Now, kind of going on with those backups there, Merklinger has made huge strides this offseason as far as his leadership goes. His skill set is a lot better as well. He just doesn't have the experience. I do think that's probably going to be your second string guy if Aguilar was to, God forbid, get hurt, or let's just say he's not performing. I think Merklinger is going to be that next guy to come in, but don't count out McIntyre. He is arguably the most talented of the 3, but you said it right now. He's a true freshman, and he really needs to gain some more weight in muscle, especially. Otherwise, I mean, he looks like a guy that, he gets hit one time, he might break in half. I mean, let's just be totally honest, but the dude is talented. Talented as all get out. I mean, he can see the running lanes whenever he needs to. He can make almost every single throw. It's just, once again, the inexperience. He doesn't have the experience at this level yet, but let's just add in next season when you got Faison Brandon coming in. You've got so much talent in these young guys coming in. I think Tennessee at quarterback, at least for the next, I'll say 4 to 5 years, when you consider, Faison Brandon, he's got to at least be a junior before he can go to the pros. I think Tennessee at the quarterback position, as long as everyone stays or, stays healthy anyway, because I do think at least one of the 3 quarterbacks is going to transfer out. And I think it's going to be either Merklinger or McIntyre. That's just the way that the game is played nowadays with the transfer portal and the NIL and all that stuff going on. But I think that Tennessee is set at the quarterback position for the next several years. It's just yet to be seen at this point.
Yeah, it's a very interesting spot to be in. When's the last time you can remember Tennessee having a quarterback battle with 3 guys instead of 2?
2004.
Really? I'm glad you knew.
see, I don't actually remember that because I was too young, but I know it was Eric Ainge, it was Rick Clausen, and I believe was it Brent Schaefer? Is that right?
Sounds right, but I mean, gosh, I
Yeah,
would have been 10.
I know for sure. Yeah, I was younger than that. I know for sure that it was Rick Clausen and Eric Ainge, and I think Brent Schaefer was the third one in that number there. When you had like a 3-way type battle for the quarterback position.
And I'm curious how that season went. I mean, again, it's a good problem to have. There's not a scarcity issue in the quarterback room. It might not be that we have 3 Hendon Hookers in there, but you just don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, if you think about it, Joe Milton was starting over Hendon Hooker at the original point in time, and a lot of it you just don't see until you get to game. And then the rest is, again, history. You just have to kind of figure it out. And that's why, again, it doesn't surprise me that Joey's going to be the starter day one. I mean, it's very clear.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was corrected. It was Brent Schaefer. The main battle was between both true freshmen, Eric Ainge and Brent Schaefer, and redshirt junior Rick Clausen was also in with that battle there. And ultimately, all of them got to play. Ainge won the job. He suffered an injury that led to Clausen taking over, and Schaefer did make a couple of starts. His mobility was the difference maker for him. And that 2004 season, even with that battle there, was actually a very good season. They went 10-3, 7-1 in the conference. They made the SEC title game against Auburn, in which they ultimately got beat. Auburn is now claiming that year as a national championship year. Don't know if anybody has seen that, but anyway, I digress on that one. But yeah, so Joey Aguilar went in the job. Ultimately, it's the correct decision. And, obviously you cannot take one person and say, this is going to happen. But everyone looks at Hendon Hooker, what Heupel was able to do with him, because Hendon Hooker was turnover prone at Virginia Tech. Joey Aguilar turnover prone at Appalachian State. People are making the comparison. Well, Hendon Hooker did this at Virginia Tech, came and did this at Tennessee. Can we see the same from Aguilar? Yes, we can, but this is 2 totally different situations. These are 2 totally different players. Do I think Aguilar is going to have success this year and lead Tennessee to a good season? I absolutely do, but we cannot go in expecting him to have a Hendon Hooker type year just because they've got similarities going on.
Yeah, and going back schematically, I think if you look at what Tennessee does with the wider splits, it almost is a quarterback-friendly offense. I mean, just put yourself in the quarterback's shoes. I mean, if you've got 3 tight ends, like sometimes what Alabama will do, there is so much going on in front of you, it's hard to see. So, credit to Heupel. I mean, obviously he's a quarterback. He knows what it takes to win at a high level. The offense is going to be built for a guy to really just rip it, make a decision and rip it. So, I'm excited. I really find it crazy that a lot of people just don't have that belief in him. I see a lot of people putting him as maybe the worst quarterback in the SEC. I can guarantee you that he will not be the worst quarterback in the SEC. That's a Jake guarantee, as much as that means. But
let's just be frank. He's going to be better than Diego Pavia.
Diego Pavia's whole play is roll out, throw it to his tight end, or keep it. I mean,
exactly.
It is. I was looking at it because this age of NIL, everybody's trying to build a gimmick offense. You've heard you want to be great at one thing before you're good at other things. That's kind of what you're seeing in some of these middle tier SEC teams. Thankfully, we're kind of good at everything. We are, and we're great at defense. So that takes a lot of pressure off of a quarterback, whether it feels like it correlates or not. Our run game's great. Well, your quarterback just has to be good. He just has to.
Yes.
That's all you need out of the guy. Just let him steer the boat, and we'll get where we need to be.
And I know you've seen the videos as well. That was the thing. Nico was fair last year. I'm not going to say he was good. He was fair overall. All he had to do was hit a couple of shots. And that last year, even though I think the results would have ended up the same, a first round exit in the playoffs, just because Tennessee last year, they weren't quite there overall. By the time you got to the playoffs, there was numerous injuries on that roster. You didn't have the guys to compete with a team like Ohio State. So I think if you do face off against Ohio State at that point, the results end up being the same overall. But I think that if Nico would have just hit a couple of shots, then I mean you've seen all the missed throws that he had last year. Some of it was the wide receivers not creating separation, but there was a lot of times his wide receivers had a step, and that's all you need if you're a good enough quarterback is a step to put it in a place where your receiver can go get it. And he just overthrew it, or he threw it wide, or there was a couple times he threw it short. And I don't think we're going to see that as much this year, whether it be Aguilar, Merklinger, or McIntyre. I think you're going to see guys actually hit their shots on this one and not have as many overthrows and misreceivers.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a lot of what I saw at Nico, I spent probably 2 hours watching some film on him, and I don't claim to be a quarterback guru. I know defense. I definitely know defense. If you've watched the show, y'all know I've spent time in that locker room with Tennessee. And basically, what I learned about Nico is he did not have the patience to sustain success. If there was a play right in front of him, he's probably hitting it. But on those second and third reads, it was abysmal because he felt too much pressure when there wasn't enough. He didn't rely on his feet enough. And to me, it just seemed like it was a fall apart as soon as the play felt busted in his eyes. You're not going to get that out of Joey. He's gonna throw a ball through a hit. He's got some gamesmanship, like we talked about. People are going to hate me saying this, but he's kind of a gamer like Diego Pavia. He's a harder nosed guy.
He is, yeah.
Pavia is just one of those guys to me that if you see kind of what he brought to Vanderbilt, if you're able to cater around a quarterback, you can see success. I hate to use Vanderbilt as an example, but their whole offense ran through that quarterback. Again, thankfully, we don't have to worry about that. We've got more talent at the offensive line position than I think we had last year. That's pretty wild to think about. We have a very intricate run scheme. We've got a plethora of running backs who all do different things really well. To me, again, there's just too much to worry about, and I'm hoping that a lot of these teams sleep on Aguilar because he can make you lose games if you're the opponent.
I completely agree with you on all fronts. I think our offensive line is definitely more talented. A lot of hype about this offensive line coming out of the last couple of scrimmages, especially. So I think your offensive line is more talented. You mentioned it, a deep running back room. All of them have different skill sets. I think you've got a more talented wide receiver core this year as well. Granted, unproven. Yeah. Obviously, I'd love to have Brew McCoy back. I'd love to have Dante Thornton back. I'd love to have some of those guys back. But I think that this group overall is more talented, just unproven so far.
Yeah, top to bottom.
Yeah. And then other than Eli Stowers at Vanderbilt, I think that you've got arguably the best tight end in the SEC in Miles Kitselman coming back. Definitely one of the most dependable tight ends in Miles Kitselman. And you can't count out Ethan Davis either. I mean, Ethan Davis, he's put on a ton of weight. He's really worked on his craft. I think overall the offense is more talented as a whole. And you said it, the quarterback does not have to be great. They have to be good in this offense. And with that right there, I think Tennessee's going to have success this year that they didn't have on the offensive side of the ball last year. You're not going to just have to rely on the defense this season, although the defense is going to be absolutely elite once again this year. So high on this defense.
Yep.
But I completely agree with you. Got a couple of comments here, and I want your thoughts on this. So Rhonda says, we cannot lose GMAC. May lose David Sanders if we do. Plus, he's an in-state kid. A lot of potential.
Yeah, I can't speak on the player negotiations that we have now in the NIL room. Hopefully that new signing with Adidas means that we won't lose anybody. We can just outbid everybody.
Yeah.
But I don't see us losing David Sanders. George, I think, is in a better spot. It is tougher because you have Faison. But again, I just, knowing the way that Heupel coaches these guys, he's very transparent. I would think that, again, it would only make sense for a guy like Merklinger. I believe he's out of Marietta, so it would make sense for him to leave. I don't see that. Again, I think that when you buy into a team and you know what you've got, you kind of just stay. Not a lot of teams. I mean, we didn't lose a lot in the transfer portal relative to some other SEC teams, so that tells you a lot about the culture here. And so But I'm with you. I probably would rather keep George McIntyre over Merklinger just because of the intangibles. But that's also me wishing that he could gain 40 pounds, overnight. I just don't know what he's going to look like, an additional weight on him. But all exciting things. I mean, if we're worried about losing kids to transfer portal, that means either somebody beat them out or somebody outbid, which means we hope our roster management's okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I've already said it. I think that McIntyre is the more talented of the quarterbacks in the room right now. I tell you what, I really like Jake Merklinger. And I think that it's possible Tennessee ends up keeping all three between Merklinger, McIntyre, and Brandon. But with the way the world is now, transfer portal, NIL, all that stuff, it's going to be hard for them to be able to keep all three.
Yeah.
I do think so. So here's my thoughts on it, and this will be the last thought on the quarterback after I turn it over to you. I think that we have all three of them for spring practice next year, but I think one of them transfers out after spring practice. I don't think anybody's going to transfer out at the end of the year. Your thoughts?
From again, I can only go off of the way that I got to speak with Merklinger. He seemed very excited to be a Vol. He was very willing to do things that weren't just for the benefit of his paycheck. I like Merklinger. I think he would stay. I could see that. I think that, yes, if you're going to have somebody leave, you're going to have them leave in the spring. Now, my question to you is do we know Faison's going to be on campus in the spring? Because that would be your true tell if you're like, okay, I'm out of here. I've got 3 guys ahead of me. I got to go. Or 2 guys ahead of me. I got to go.
It's not a guarantee, but the way that everything is going now, does he play basketball or baseball, or is he just a football guy?
I don't think he plays baseball. He could play basketball, but I mean, even then, I would see him signing early.
That's my thoughts. I think that he's going to sign early. He's going to be on campus in December. In December, be there for the bowl game, playoff game, whatever it may be, and he's going to be in there for all of the winter stuff going into spring, that type of thing. So I think that he's going to be there for spring practice.
He plays basketball. From what I'm seeing, he's okay.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, he's already got a full ride to Tennessee. Why would he stay for his senior year playing basketball, risk getting hurt, anything like that?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's going to be there for spring practice. I think he's going to enroll in December, January. Ultimately, super excited about this quarterback group this year. I think no matter who ends up being the starter at the end of the season, because it's not a guarantee that Aguilar is going to keep the job for the entire season. I think that whoever we have at the end of the season is going to be good enough to get us where we want to go this season. So it's just a matter of everything else around the quarterback. So before we move on to segment 2, I do want to talk a little bit about the breaking news that came out earlier today. As the SEC has been talking for quite some time about moving to a 9-game conference schedule. Every other conference has moved to a 9-game conference schedule. The ACC, the Big 10, the Big 12. It was just the SEC left over. And there was a lot of other people from other conferences, a lot of sports people that were saying, well, the SEC only plays 8 conference games. That should automatically knock them down. They're not the best conference. They don't play the toughest schedule, yada, 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 yada. All right, you can't say that anymore. The SEC starting next season. They will have a 9-game conference slate. They will still play a Power 5 opponent every year. So that's 10 Power 5 opponents that you are playing, which matches what the Big 10 does. I believe the Big 12 and the ACC also do that as well. You get 2 other opponents that you can play. So I'm not sure if they're doing what the Big 10 does and forcing their schools to play FBS opponents, or if they're still allowed to play an FCS opponent. I know the Big 10 does that. I don't know what the SEC is going to do as far as that right there. Haven't seen that. But with this 9-game conference schedule, there will be 3 permanent opponents that you will play every single year, alternating home and away sites. And then the other 12 teams in the conference, you will rotate playing them. The goal of this will be, if you stay on campus for 4 years, you will play every single team in the conference at least twice and get to play at their home stadium, and you get to play them at home as well. So, your thoughts on this, Jake?
Oh, I
Do
love
you
it.
love it or do you hate it?
Oh, I mean, give me more SEC matchups. Now, granted, gone are the days of probably a bunch of 10-2 SEC teams because you just made it even harder. That's, my experience is I got to go to a lot of games when I was with Tennessee. A lot of places I didn't get to go, and anybody knows who's talked to me. That's one of my favorite things about the sport was getting to see different experiences. I think that is amazing for a couple of reasons. I think it's great for the student athlete to get a variety of game day experiences to see what the SEC is truly about because there is no one SEC team that is the same as another. Um, I do think that should, in theory, help a little bit when it comes to the body of work when we talk about playoff selection. I think that does nothing but help the SEC because it's going to be rock, paper, scissors all over again, where you're going to have a triangle of people who've beat each other. So I think it helps the SEC get more guys in the playoff, kind of heading towards and alluding to the big conference, or, really you only have two right now. Um, the only thing I don't like about it is my gosh, that's some hard ball to play. Just add another one in there. I'll be interested to see though. Who are they going to select as the three? I guess stick games that you're going to have each year. That to me is going to be the most interesting thing because that could play a huge factor in the success and the future of a lot of programs. I mean, for example, let's say Tennessee gets Vanderbilt and Kentucky, and then I don't know, South Carolina in there. Well, what just happened to Florida, Alabama, Georgia? I mean, does that shoe
Exactly.
us in? Because nowadays it's like you got to beat those big tier teams to get in.
It's definitely a more favorable. If that ended up being Tennessee's three teams, it's definitely more favorable for Tennessee going forward than it would be a lot of other teams. Um, I do want to get your thoughts here in just a minute on who you think the three permanent opponents for Tennessee are going to be, but I also want to go in and say I love this as well. I've been an advocate for the 9-game schedule for quite a while. Give me more SEC matchups. Give me the harder schedules. Yes, we might lose more games in the conference, but if you end up winning out in the SEC, it's going to make it, I'm not going to say it's going to make it easier, but you're going to be that much more prepared to play against whoever the best team out of the Big Ten is, the best team out of the ACC, the best team out of the Big 12. I love this. Give me all of this right here. Now, as far as the permanent opponents go, you mentioned it. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. You could go by actual true rivals and make it that way, in which Tennessee's true rivals would probably be Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and Alabama, in my opinion. You could say Florida, but ultimately, when you go over the history of it, the three biggest rivals that Tennessee has is Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and Alabama as far as the longevity goes.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to go that way, or do you think they're going to go with something more like what I sent you and Skylar earlier, where they're going to make it more competitively balanced, in which I put Tennessee's three opponents as Vanderbilt, Alabama, and South Carolina? Your thoughts? What do you think the SEC does on this?
I think that it's going to be every man for himself when you have that conference room because I don't. I think a lot of people who are at the higher end of it understand the stakes of it. What the SEC is going to want is what's going to make us the most money.
Yeah.
What is going to cause viewership? Well, I mean, we know the Tennessee and Alabama cause viewership. We're probably going to keep that one. Does Tennessee and Vanderbilt do it, or do you put Vanderbilt with Missouri and Kentucky?
So here,
You
all
know?
right, here's my counter on that one. Are they really going to take away an in-state rivalry every single year with Tennessee and Vanderbilt? Because I feel like that one is the absolute surefire lock for Tennessee is Vanderbilt just because of that in-state rivalry. I get what you're saying that it's about the money, but are they really going to take that one away?
I couldn't see them doing it, but well, I could. I'm 50-50. I mean, I really just think that it's more so about, like you said, rivalry is important. But if you're not getting viewership on rivalry, then what's the stakes? And no, well, all offense to Vanderbilt, is it really even a rivalry just because they're in state? I mean, that to me is the biggest thing. Maybe it's kind of like what they do in soccer. You know, they kind of club you up and club you down every season. We're like, all right, you're going down to the lower tier. Let's just kick you down.
I've got some thoughts on that as well if we end up going to super conferences, but that's a topic for another day. So
yeah, I guess if I had to, if somebody gun to my head and said you pick 3 teams, I'm probably going to be with you. I'm going to say it's going to be Vanderbilt, it's going to be Kentucky, it's going to be Alabama. I just can't fathom not playing Georgia and obviously Florida. But I couldn't be happier to get out of Florida. Florida is awful.
yeah. Yeah, but the reason I brought up the whole competitive balance thing is because let's just take a team like Alabama, for instance. Granted, Alabama is a year in year out, they're a very competitive team. They're always one of the top teams in the conference, at least since Nick Saban got there. Their 3 rivals, quote unquote, would probably be Auburn, Tennessee, and LSU.
Yeah.
Those are 3 tough teams that they would be playing year in and year out. So, as far as a competitive balance goes, do you go with something more like they're going to keep Auburn and Alabama? That Iron Bowl is going to stay.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to keep that Tennessee-Alabama game that third Saturday in October. And do you end up putting in with an opponent like Mississippi State for that competitive balance?
And again, you're having to pair 3s, and there's 16 teams. So to me, it's just difficult to put a number on it. Somebody's going to get the better end of the bargain. I mean, absolutely,
yeah.
But then again, if we do it about competitive, leveling the playing field, what happens if you got it? I mean, Missouri came into the SEC year 1 and year 2 and made the conference championship. They've been okay, but my gosh, are we looking 3 years? Are we looking 10 years? What are we looking at?
Exactly. That's the other thing of it too. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I've got my list, my theories of what I think that is how they're going to kind of do it. I haven't finalized it yet. I sent you and Skylar both my list earlier of what I think it's going to do. I think it's going to be very similar to that. There's probably going to be a couple of changes, but it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. So, my last thoughts on this, I'm going to open this up to you as well. So, there's been talks about a partnership with the Big Ten as far as a scheduling goes. And a lot of that issue was because the SEC had not gone to a 9-game schedule yet. Do you think with the SEC officially announcing this, we're going to see a partnership with the Big Ten now where that other Power 5 opponent is going to be a team from the Big Ten more often than it would be a team from the ACC or the Big 12?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And you can tell by the tone of a lot of these head coaches, Kirk Cignetti, coming out and saying it's like an SEC schedule or whatever he said. A lot of the undertones are always going to be about getting an advantage in recruiting and in money. That's the 2 things they're looking to get an advantage in. The one big differentiator with the SEC, other than talent, is going to be, well, you're playing that talent each and every week. So your competition, iron sharpens iron. So, the Big Ten, they're looking to get on the same playing field as the SEC. That's just one step closer to that merger that I see coming in the next 10 years, probably sooner. But yeah, no, I absolutely think that that's what this is introducing. And again, it makes let the rich get richer at this point, because both of those conferences are going to benefit from seeing cross-conference play. It's going to be good for everyone. So, except for the teams that lose.
Exactly. It's basically going to be one step closer to, the SEC and the Big Ten eventually breaking away and making their own super conference. For the college sports sake, I hope that it doesn't happen, but for the competitive sake of it, give me all of that. We'll see what ends up happening, but I'm super excited. I know you are as well, as far as this new 9-game conference schedule goes. Give us more competitive games. It's gonna suck as far as trying to go and watch a game, because those games are gonna be more expensive. These UT Chattanooga games, these UTEP games, all that. It's great to get fans in the stands. People like me and you that we might not go to a ton of games out there. We try to get to some of those games because tickets are cheaper. You're not going to get as many of those. But overall, I'm fine sitting at home on my couch watching the game and seeing competitive ball out there than I am traveling up to Knoxville and seeing Tennessee beat down UTEP, or what we'll say Kent State, 75-0 or whatever the score was last year.
Yeah.
I mean, give me the more competitive games. But any more thoughts on the 9-game schedule or the quarterbacks before we move ahead and talk about some Alabama schedule this year?
Do we have to talk about Alabama?
We can talk about how bad we think they're gonna be this year. Oh, I'm sorry. Alabama's a good team. Anyway, our segment 2 sponsor before we get into this, it is P&L Business Services. We know firsthand that getting your monthly reporting, invoicing, bill pay, taxes, and other essential business services right is critical. That's why at P&L Business Services, we go beyond bookkeeping by providing you with everything you need in your back office so you can have your time back and the peace of mind to do what you love most, which is building your business. Behind every successful business is a great bookkeeper. You can contact Miss Leanne and go to pnlbusinessservices.com. And we appreciate them being our segment 2 sponsor. So let's go over to the scheduling page here, get our sponsor pulled up, and Alabama. So Alabama, I guess you could say entering a new era once again, not necessarily because of a head coach, but because of a new quarterback.
Yeah.
Last year, Kalen DeBoer's first year at head coach or as the head coach at Alabama, had experienced quarterback Jalen Milroe at the helm. He's gone now, and Ty Simpson has won that job for Alabama. Interesting to see what's going to happen. He's been there. He's very experienced as far as inside the team, the offense itself. Hasn't had the greatest success on the field so far, granted in limited opportunities. Also found out that I believe it was their first string running back went down today with a separated collarbone, out for the season. So
is that Jam?
Was it Jam?
I hope it's not. I love that name.
Let
Let me find out really quick. It looks like that's right. Yeah, it's Jam.
Yep.
Guys, I don't know much about Jam. I just love his name. He's on the all-name list. So it's one of those things that I really just you hate to see. Jam is a great name for a running back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Jelly's their second string, so I think they'll be fine.
There you go. Of course, they do still have Ryan Williams. He is 18 now. So,
yeah. Now they've got a ton of talent. I think I looked at it, 11 players on the preseason coaches poll for all SEC. That is a stupid number. They're talented. As much as people want to think that when Saban left, the talent just went away, guys, Saban is probably still recruiting right now. He loves ball that much. Sadly, we want to get rid of him.
He's got an office there at Alabama. He's still doing stuff with Alabama. His love for the university there is second to none. Before we get into this schedule, though, Tennessee Football 247 joins in and says, "What do you think about Texas Roadhouse coming to Neyland Stadium?"
I'm glad you pulled this up, because if that means I get those nice sweet rolls, oh my gosh, that's worth the ticket price raise.
Exactly. Maybe that's why the ticket prices were raised anyway. It's not the talent fee; it's to bring Texas Roadhouse in.
Golly, could you imagine just throwing them out to the stand, 102,000 strong, eating those things? Oh gosh.
Yeah. We need to get Smokey down there with one of those confetti cannons, or one of the t-shirt cannons, and shoot the rolls out there. Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh my gosh.
So Sean talking about Alabama, he says, "I don't think it'll actually happen, but I'd love to see Bama lose in Tallahassee to open this year." So we're gonna get right into this. Jake, do you want to go first on Alabama, or do you want to go first on Georgia?
Oh, I'd like to go first on Alabama. I'm more optimistic about them.
Okay.
So,
all right.
It's Alabama. If you look at what Kalen DeBoer has done at Washington, he's got a lot of the pieces that he would like to have now kind of sitting. It might not be as tenured, but he has everything that he really needs. Gone are kind of the days of seeing a very run-heavy Alabama team. You're still obviously going to establish the run, but the bread and butter right now, if you can see, is it's a spread. It's run and gun. Let's shoot the ball as much as we can, and let the pass open up the run. Um, a lot of what Alabama's woes were last year, they were a talented team, but they almost had an Achilles heel at quarterback. They had a
Yep.
quarterback who could not determine if he was going to be good any given Saturday.
Yep.
He did some amazing. I mean, I think he had the most rushing yards out of any player on Alabama's roster last year. Am I wrong on that? If you want to fact check me while I'm talking.
I think you're right.
That's not. There's no team that I've ever really heard of that can sustain championship level success doing so, unless you're at the high school level. And even then, you get to higher high school level, that'll be shut down pretty quick. Alabama's still got a very, very young backfield on the defensive side. All those guys have got another year under their belt. They had to play last year. I think they're probably 6-7 deep at the cornerback room. Could be probably the best cornerback room in the SEC, in my opinion, is Alabama. Their D line, yeah, they don't have any big dudes like they've had in the past. What's the guy's name? Dallas Turner. Will Anderson's. Every year it felt like they were just churning out guys. I don't feel like they have that elite type of playmaker in the pass rush, but everything surrounding them on the defensive side is fine. They're going to constrict. It's almost kind of like how Nick Saban did it, where he felt like if you could lock them up in the secondary, you can do a whole lot with that defensive line because it gives them just a second more time to get to where they need to be. So I think that makes them slightly better. Actually,
so you were also right as far as Jalen Milroe. He was the leading rusher on the team last year. So by the time you take out like the sack loss, sack yardage, and all that stuff, he netted 726 yards last year on the ground.
Oh, my Lord.
So in total, he gained 966 last year, but he lost 240 yards last year when you consider sacks.
He was a 1K rusher.
Yeah, he was. And the next closest was Jam Miller, who gained a total of 698, lost 30, so he netted 668 yards. So when you look at just the gain in general, that's almost 300 yards more than your highest running back total from last year.
Hey, guys, what, they went 9-3 last year? Yeah. So to me, I mean, this is an Alabama team that has the same kind of problem, I think, that Tennessee has. They've got a new quarterback. They were a little bit antsy. I know a couple people who've worked at Alabama and are currently at Alabama right now. They love Ty Simpson. They really, really do. Think about what Michael Penix did at Washington. Very able to make the progressions that need to be done, very cerebral, but also can just get yards. He can extend the play and get the yards. He's not going to play hero ball, but he's not going to let a play get lost. So, yeah, Ty Simpson doesn't show a lot, but I do think that he's going to be pretty good. One note that I have on him is he has a 81% adjusted completion rate. So for those who don't know that in layman's terms, that's basically what are you looking at on completion when he's pressured? He can play very well under pressure. So that's a very, very high percentage completion. Again, they're going to want to dink and dunk, hit you deep, get some runs out there, get some screens. They're going to be able to do so. Their wide receiver room is very talented. Again, I think that they could also compete for one of the most talented wide receiver rooms in the country. Ryan Williams is an X factor in himself. You got to decide as a defense, do you want to double team the guy all night and let somebody else get open? So there's a lot there for me. And again, they've got an easier schedule. Last year it was a little bit tougher. I mean, if you look at where they're going at Georgia. That's their hardest away game. At Missouri, I've been there. It's not tough to play at Missouri. I don't care what anything you're seeing on TikTok. I know if you're on TikTok, you'll see a bunch of these slideshows on showing. Missouri is dead last. I think Vanderbilt is harder to play at than Missouri. I'm serious.
I'm going to soak up this content.
Dude, Drew Lock, again, I was there when Drew Lock probably threw for 900 yards against us, and we got toasted. I was on that sideline. Their fans, their donors, just it is the quietest place. It's flat. It's terrible. At South Carolina, everybody thinks that Lenore Sellers is going to be a world beater. I kind of agree. I think he's probably better than DJ Lagway, but I just think that Alabama has that much more talent. I don't think that South Carolina can get it done. I mean, everything I'm looking at shows me, and then you get LSU late. Well, if LSU loses week 1, then that's a certified dub. LSU's gone if they lose week 1. So the schedule lines up very nice for them. Looking at it, the only real toss-ups I have is going to be at Georgia. I want to say Tennessee is going to be tough. They're still a lot more talented than us. A lot of their their play is going to go back to the quarterback on that. But again, I just don't see us beating them at Tuscaloosa. I think they go 10-2. I think they make the playoffs.
So game by game, tell me what you think Alabama's going to do this year.
I think Florida State's going to be an eye-opener. Florida State's a lot better than they were last year. I think that'll kind of set the course for them. I think they'll probably beat them by 7 or 10. The UL Monroe is going to be a disgusting win. That's just going to be like, let our guys go. Wisconsin doesn't have the talent. They're not a higher tier. There's about 3 teams in the Big Ten that could even compete with Alabama. So I give them Wisconsin. At Georgia is a very interesting one. I do think that Alabama is a better team than Georgia this year, but playing at Georgia off of a bye week, it's again, these are college kids. It's very easy to overanalyze. I'm going to take a loss to Georgia. They're going to kill Vandy. I mean, they know what's going. Last year was a fluke. That's probably going to be a bloodbath. At Missouri, 50-0. Tennessee is a toss-up. I'm going to give them the win there. At South Carolina, I'm going to give them the win. I'm going to give them the win at LSU. I think they go 11-1. I mean, we have to really look. Honestly, my sleeper, I could see them losing to Auburn to go 10-2.
So you've got wins against Oklahoma, Eastern Illinois, and Auburn?
You're going to make me pick Auburn at the Iron Bowl? I mean, crazy stuff happens. It's at Auburn. I'm going to give them a loss to Auburn, but that makes them they're still going to be in the SEC championship, right? I would think
it's a chance. Yeah. So you got them going 10-2. Best case, worst case scenario. What's your ceiling and what's your floor for Alabama this season?
They can go 12-0. I mean, they can. There's too much there for them. In a worst case situation, Florida State just doesn't know they're bad, and they come out and play a really good ball game. So let's see. Let's say they lose to Florida State. They could lose to Wisconsin. Lose to us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, I could see them going 6-6, worst case scenario. Again, this is so hard to really predict because you've got a brand new quarterback, but all indicators show you that they should be better this year. Even with their starting running back out, they've got a plethora of guys who are foaming at the mouth to get that spot. They are a more talented team than us. They're a more talented team than every team on that schedule, with the exception of maybe Georgia. And then again, it's a toss-up. So, worst case 6-6, best case 12-0. Pretty wide range.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the way. That's kind of the way that we do it, though. I mean, you want to say best case, worst case scenario, kind of have it somewhere in there, and it's a very good prediction there. I'm going to be slightly different from you,
good.
but that's what makes good content, is just being different here. So I agree with you. I do think that Alabama is still a more talented team than everybody on their schedule, except for maybe Georgia. I think they're still more talented than Tennessee. But when you look at both teams as a whole, look at their coaching staff and all that, is it really going to make Alabama the better team overall? Yet to be seen. I've still got my doubts on Ty Simpson this year. But I agree with you. I think everything trends towards this should be a better season for Alabama. Kalen DeBoer, in year 2, at each stop that he has ever been at, it's always been significantly better than a year before. Well, you went 9-3 in year 1. How much better can you really get? I mean, obviously, yes, you can go 12-0. You can go win a national championship in year 2. But how much better is it going to get from 9-3 in this day and age? Florida State, week 1. I do think Florida State is going to be a better team this year. They got a lot of talented transfers, but I don't think that they're going to beat Alabama in week 1. So I give a win to Alabama. UL Monroe, you mentioned that this is not going to be like Nick Saban's first season where UL Monroe comes in and steals a win. Alabama's going to get the win in this one and get it pretty handily. Wisconsin, I agree with you once again. I love Luke Fickell as a coach, but I don't think that Wisconsin is a spot that he's going to have success. I think he's going to end up getting fired there eventually. He's going to go back to another Group of 5 school, or another Power 5 school is going to take a chance on him, and he's going to have success then. But he's not going to have success at Wisconsin. So Alabama gets a win there. At Georgia, coming off a bye week. Georgia is also coming off a bye week in this one. This game, if it was in Alabama, I think I lean towards Alabama in this one because I do have questions at quarterback for Georgia as well. Here's one thing I'll say for Alabama. They're playing more quality competition overall than Georgia is at the start of the season. We'll get to Georgia's schedule in a minute, but Alabama is playing 2 Power 5 opponents starting off. Georgia is going to be playing 2 Group of 5 opponents. I think one of them might even be an FCS opponent, and then they're playing Tennessee before this game. So Alabama's going to be more tested, but I think Georgia is going to come out with the win in this game. Vanderbilt on October the 4th, I completely agree with you. This game is going to be a complete bloodbath. Diego Pavia might not even make it out of this game, to be honest, with all the crap that he's been talking. Alabama with a win there. At Missouri, I don't think that Missouri is going to get skunked in this one the way that they did last year, but I do think that Alabama goes into Como and they get a win there. Tennessee, third Saturday in October. This is a game that's, it's hard to say Tennessee can go down there and get a win. They have not beaten Alabama in Alabama, I believe that one's also since 2003, just like the Florida series. I think it's been 22 years since Tennessee has gone down there and gotten a win in Alabama. I do think that Alabama has got more talent overall. I've already mentioned that. But I think overall, I might be showing my Tennessee homerism here. I might have my orange glasses on. I think I trust Tennessee's roster as a whole more. I think defense travels. And I think Tennessee overall is going to have a better defense this year. I do agree with you. I think that the corners for Alabama are some of the best in the country, possibly the best in the conference. But I think the defense as a whole, I think Tennessee's a little bit ahead of Alabama right now. I've got Tennessee going to Tuscaloosa, and I've got them pulling out a win in this game. At South Carolina, this is where I've got Alabama actually dropping back-to-back games this year. I've got South Carolina. I'm very high on them, and I think that they're going to have a letdown game after that loss to Tennessee, and they're going to go into South Carolina and end up losing a close one. That's a game South Carolina should have won last year in Tuscaloosa. Ended up getting the onside kick there to get the ball back with a chance to win. I forget exactly what happened after that, but something crazy happened, and Alabama ended up pulling it out by, I think it was 2 points, something like that. So I think they have a letdown game and get beat against South Carolina. But coming off a bye week, playing against LSU at home, I've got Alabama winning that game. I've got them absolutely demolishing Oklahoma this year. They're going to remember what happened last year, a game that ended up putting them out of the playoffs. They get a win against Oklahoma. They beat Eastern Illinois as well. And this is a tough game to pick here, this Iron Bowl at Auburn. Strange things always happen at Auburn in this game. Hugh Freeze in the past has had Alabama's number, but that was also with Nick Saban at head coach. That was also a Ole Miss team that there wasn't questions around the roster the way that Auburn has some questions, especially around the quarterback position right now. I think at this point in the season, we're going to find out what Ty Simpson is made of. I think Auburn is going to still have some questions towards the end of the season. I mean, they're talking about having a 3-quarterback type rotation, or they're going to play 3 quarterbacks, something like that. It's not a recipe for success, in my opinion. Alabama goes to Auburn and gets a win in the Iron Bowl. So I've got Alabama going 9-3, just like they did last year, just shy of the playoffs. Obviously, best case scenario, I'm not going to say that they can go 12-0 just because I don't think that there's any team in the SEC that's going to go 12-0 this season. I think gone are the days of seeing undefeated teams in the SEC, especially after next season whenever you're going to a 9-game schedule. So I've got them going 11-1 this season as the best case scenario. I think you can beat Georgia but lose to Tennessee. I think you can lose to Georgia but beat Tennessee and South Carolina. Any one of those. I think there's one loss somewhere on the schedule, so I've got them going 11-1 as my ceiling. My floor, I do think that you could drop that game to Florida State in week 1 because, as you said, Florida State might not realize that they're bad. Florida State might be significantly better this year, and they still won in week 1. We don't know what Ty Simpson's going to do. We don't know what the rest of the roster is going to do. So you can see a loss there. I think you could lose to LSU. I think that if Oklahoma is having the type of season that a lot of people think that they will, you could lose to Oklahoma and then obviously the Iron Bowl. I'm not going to say that the absolute floor for this team is 5-7. I do think that they get a win somewhere in there against one of those teams. I'm also going to go with you and say that 6-6 is the absolute floor. Things just absolutely go completely wrong for Alabama this season. The ceiling is 11-1. I've got them going 9-3 overall this year, just missing out on the playoffs.
Crazy to say. I mean, just think about what these teams have been in the past. I do think if you see anything less than 9-3, DeBoer is probably not making it through the season, which is wild to say. Give him 2 years. That's all they gave him.
Yeah.
What a wild time we live in.
Exactly. So let's go back over to this screen. You have anything else on Alabama before we move forward to our Georgia segment?
No, I mean it's all kind of right there. I think quarterback play will dictate a lot. Hopefully they can run the ball without having their starter. So that's all I got.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move ahead to our segment 3. Our sponsor for segment 3, it is Kaizen Painting. Do you want a colorful life? Kaizen is a painting and drywall company that provides residential, commercial, exterior, and interior services. At Kaizen Painting, we understand the importance of a beautifully painted home and properly installed and repaired drywall. We're here to bring your vision to life. We care about providing you with a personalized, efficient, and quality service. If you live in Knoxville and surroundings, contact us for a free estimate at kaizenpainting.com. Color your life the Kaizen way. So going back over to our schedule graphic here, let's pull up Georgia. So Georgia this year, new quarterback as well. Tough schedule. You got Gunnar Stockton at quarterback this year. Carson Beck going to Miami. It's a tough schedule, as I just mentioned. Still a lot of hype around this team, though. I mean, it's everyone's saying Georgia and Texas once again going to the SEC title game, making the playoffs. It's going to be interesting to see what happens this year. So I'll go ahead with my picks here for Georgia, and then I'll let you take over whenever I'm done with it. You said you're a little bit higher on Alabama than Georgia, so interesting there. Starting week 1 against Marshall, that's a tough Group of 5 team to play, but they're going to get a win against Marshall. They're also going to win against Austin Peay in week 2. At Tennessee in week 3. Here's what I like about this game for Tennessee. Tennessee is going to be playing a quality opponent in Syracuse in week 1. I personally don't think Syracuse is going to be all that good, but when you look at the overall makeup of the roster, you look at the caliber of the team, Syracuse is a much better team than Marshall is. So I think Tennessee has that going for them. I think that Tennessee right now has a slight edge at quarterback because of the experience that Joey Aguilar has over Gunnar Stockton. But ultimately, Georgia still has Kirby Smart, man. And honestly, until I see Tennessee beat Georgia, I can't pick it to happen. So I've got Georgia beating Tennessee in Knoxville in week 3 there. Coming off a bye week, going up against Alabama. This could end up being a letdown spot for Georgia at this point. You just got a big win against Tennessee. You got a bye week. You're probably going to have a lot of speedings happening. You might not have all your roster by the time the Alabama game comes around. Just wondering if any of you got that joke there. But anyway, I've already said that I think Georgia's going to beat Alabama. That's going to be a very close game, and I do think if that game was in Tuscaloosa that it would lean more towards Alabama than it does. Kentucky on October the 4th. I think that's going to be a win there. We've seen some very close Kentucky-Georgia games as of recently in games that probably shouldn't be close. I personally think that this year it won't be as close as it has been in the past. This Auburn game, though, that's going to be an interesting one. We've already mentioned strange things happen in Jordan-Hare Stadium. I mean, you got the prayer at O'Hare that happened with, I believe it was Brandon Marshall at quarterback against Georgia. Of course, we all remember the kick six against Alabama. It's just strange things happen whenever you play in Auburn. You can't forget the Hail Mary there. What was it, 4th and 30 or something like that with Milroe? I mean, obviously that went against Auburn, but still a strange thing happening there in Jordan-Hare. But I just think that Georgia's a better team overall than Auburn. I don't trust Hugh Freeze right now, what he's got going on. So I've got a win against Auburn in this game. Ole Miss. This game is at home this year. And I think that Kirby Smart's going to remember what happened to them, just absolutely getting embarrassed by Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss last year in that game. I've got a win for Georgia in this one. This Florida game, it's a very intriguing one, the game being in Jacksonville. I think that Florida is going to be a very good team this year, but I think it all hinges on the health of DJ Lagway. We haven't seen him stay 100% healthy so far in his time at Florida. There's been some health issues so far in the offseason as well. At this point in the season, how healthy is DJ Lagway? Because if they're playing Harrison Bailey in this game, give me Georgia by as many as they choose. Ultimately, I think this game is going to be close, but I am going to lean Georgia in this game. At Mississippi State, that home field advantage is not going to matter for Mississippi State. I got a win there for Georgia. The Texas game, this game is at home for Georgia. I'm not fully sold on Arch Manning, but I do think that after losing twice to Georgia last year, I think Texas gets the better of Georgia in this game. I've got a loss for Georgia against Texas. Charlotte, next to last game of the season, I've got a win there. That Georgia Tech game, I think this game is in the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. When I looked up the schedule earlier, it didn't say at Georgia Tech, but it did say Atlanta. So I think it's in the Georgia Dome instead of at Georgia Tech or in Athens, anything like that. Georgia Tech, I think they're going to be a sneaky good team this year. We saw how that game played out last year with Haynes King. Georgia Tech should have won that game. That game should have never gone to overtime. Georgia should have ended up getting beat. Do I think that something like that could happen again this year? Absolutely, I think that it could. But I just, when you look at the roster as a whole, Georgia's a much better team than Georgia Tech. I've got a win for Georgia in this contest, going 11-1 on the season, and that's where I think their ceiling is. I don't see them going undefeated. If they beat Texas, I think they lose to Tennessee or Florida or even Auburn. I think there is a loss somewhere on this schedule. So 11-1 is the ceiling. I think that's what Georgia is going to go this year. The floor for this team, I think you could lose to Tennessee. I think you could lose to Alabama. And I think you could lose to one of Auburn, Ole Miss, or Florida. I don't think you lose to all three of them, but I think you could lose to one of those three teams. So I've got 8-4 as the floor for this team. 11-1 is a ceiling, and 11-1 is what I've chosen Georgia to go this season. Ultimately, for me, it's Kirby Smart as the head coach at Georgia. So until somebody proves that they can dethrone him as the best coach in college football, because I still say that he is over Ryan Day. Ryan Day won one title. Kirby Smart has won two. He's also done it for longer than Ryan Day has. So until somebody can show that they can dethrone Georgia, I'm going to pick Georgia to have success.
Yeah. That is just to me, it's the Mike Bobo issue.
That's a great point too.
It is. Mike Bobo is he's holding you back, in my personal opinion, and. You know, I come from the Saban coaching tree. I mean, I've got, might as well pull it right here. I've got basically Georgia's playbook sitting right here from the 2018 Tennessee team. So I can tell you, I know what they're schematically going to do. And I can tell you that they are very not happy when it comes to the schedule they have to play this season, because they're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 different offensive schemes that are playing at a super high level. Just to go into it, I mean, Marshall's obviously a win. We have no question on that. Austin Peay's a win. My gut, for some reason, is telling me, and typically I don't like to listen to my gut. I think Tennessee handles Georgia. I really do. I think Tennessee ends up beating Georgia. At loss for Georgia. Yeah. So again, it goes back to knowing kind of who your opponent is. Georgia is, if you look at what we did in 2022 versus Nick Saban, I think it's obviously hard to replicate what kind of performance Jalen Hyatt did and the execution that we had there. But Georgia runs a eerily similar defense than what Alabama did under Nick Saban. Almost identical. The only thing different is when do they call adjustments at what formations. We have a kind of an edge when it comes to which I'm going to call old school defense. We're going to make these guys think. They're not going to have enough time, I believe, to really take in our film. We're playing them week 3. So again, it's just not a lot of sample size. We can hide ourselves a lot better than people realize. Again, they're playing Alabama. You all already know how I feel about Alabama. I think that I gave Georgia the win in this previously. That's a toss-up. But again, I think Alabama, that's what they're looking towards. I think that we're disrespected. They get smacked in the face by us. They come off a bye and they handle business. Now, granted, I believe Kirby Smart's 4-6 off a bye week. So something to keep in mind. Kentucky, they're terrible. They're awful. They beat Kentucky handily. I think they beat Auburn. Old Miss is just sneaky, man. I mean, Lane Kiffin just has some mojo about him. I think he gets under Kirby Smart's skin a little bit. So I'm going to give Old Miss the win here. I think it's very close. Ooh. I'm also going to give – well, no, I'm not yet. I think they handle Florida pretty well, the more I think about it. I'm with you. I think DJ Lagway makes that thing run a lot, but I think the supporting cast kind of around Florida is not as good as people think they are. Going at Mississippi State, that's a win for Georgia. Texas is really, really talented. I mean, they are really, really talented. I just don't see a way that Texas isn't your SEC champion this year. I'm going to obviously say that Texas beats Georgia, even though it's at Georgia. Obviously, they beat Charlotte. Georgia Tech's an interesting one because they've got a quarterback who has put his kind of heart on the line here. I mean, I think he's in his last year, right? Haynes King's in his last year.
Yes.
There's a chance. I don't see it happening, but we'll go to the floor, and I think again you'll see a 9-3 for Georgia this year. That's my expectation. And I think they do miss the playoffs doing this.
All right, so your ceiling and your floor for this team?
My ceiling obviously is going to be 11-1. I don't see how they can't drop a game like a Texas or an Alabama, Tennessee. I mean, they've got 5 teams that are legit coin tosses, maybe 51, 49% type deal. And again, like we just talked about, it's so hard to win in the SEC. So my ceiling is going to be 11-1. I mean, that's the best they can do. The problem with Bama is I think that they have a quarterback that's a lot more complementary to the way they play ball. I don't think Gunnar Stockton does the things that Carson Beck can do. I think that Georgia fans will figure out they'll miss Carson Beck a little bit. Their floor, however, is a little bit interesting. I think they can lose to Tennessee, Alabama. I think they can lose to Auburn. I don't see them losing. I think they can go 7-5. I think that's their floor is 7-5. I could see a crazy 6-6, but that would mean, I mean, if you lose to Tennessee, Alabama, and then lost to Auburn, Ole Miss, and Florida, it could get ugly. Just knowing the way that those locker rooms respond. But I'm going to say 7-5, while I really want to say 6-6.
Yeah, so Jay chimes in and says home field advantage will be huge in the Tennessee-Georgia game.
Massive.
I completely agree with you. That's also going to be the checker kneeling game as well. So it's going to be huge in that game. And I said it Jake said it as well. How early Tennessee gets Georgia in the season, I think could play a huge part in that. You're catching Georgia before they can finally get a rhythm going with Gunnar Stockton and the rest of that roster. I think if you were to catch Georgia late in November, like you have the last couple of seasons, I think I lean advantage Georgia at this time because I do still think that Kirby Smart is a better coach than Josh Heupel, obviously. I mean, I think Kirby Smart's still the best coach in college football since Nick Saban is gone. So I do think home field advantage is huge. I think Tennessee can win that game. But sitting here right now, I lean advantage Kirby Smart overall, and that's why I gave Georgia the win in that one. Sean says, I could see Georgia losing to Tennessee, Bama, and Texas. But as far as quarterbacks go, I would trust Gunnar Stockton over Ty Simpson. As far as who has a chance of winning the bigger games.
Well,
so I think I agree with him as far as a chance of winning the bigger games. I think that Stockton could shine a little bit more than Simpson. As far as talent overall, I'm not sure who I would trust more.
It's a tough one because you've seen Stockton play in big games.
Yes, exactly.
It's easy to visualize it. Again, I want to go back to how much this staff trusts Ty Simpson. I hate to say it, they really like him. There's guys who are on that staff right now who and they don't want to give out any bits of information, but guys on that staff want to say, hey, we like what we have in him. And again, if you see what they had Michael Penix do at Washington, he's eerily similar. So I just think that Ty Simpson will show himself pretty early. I think going back to that schedule, you'll kind of see he'll ease into it. Gunnar Stockton to me is playing. He's got his hand tied behind his back, but that's my personal opinion about Mike Bobo. And so, my point is I just think that Ty Simpson has more tools in order to win some ball games.
Yep, I agree with you. So, any last thoughts on Georgia before we move ahead to our final segment? And Zach's already ready for it in the comments.
Yeah, never make me review one of these teams again. I mean, this is. What are we doing? What's next? Vanderbilt? You want me to tell you that their ceiling's 12-0 at this point?
We've already done Vanderbilt at this point. So,
oh God, thank God I wasn't there for it. But yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
All right. So before we get into the segment that everybody is most excited for, Skylar and I have some big news, and I hate that he's not here for this news. It's something that we've been teasing for a little bit, but as of yesterday, it is official. The paperwork has been signed. We have a sponsor that's going to technically help sponsor the show, but especially the Raking with Jake segment this year because it's back. Raking with Jake is back. We're going to make money this year. We're also going to do it with a sponsor this year. Our new sponsor for this segment. Let me pull up the logo here. Action 247 Sportsbook is going to be a sponsor of the Vol Fanatics Show this year. This is a Tennessee sportsbook based out of Nashville. Really excited to be partnering with them this year. So with this partnership, they are going to be the exclusive betting lines for the show this year. So every single pick that Jake gives you is going to be based off of Action 247's lines. When Skylar and I do our upset pick of the week, the lines will be based off of the Action 247 Sportsbook lines. Basically, anytime that we talk about a line in a game, anything like that, it will be their lines. They're also going to be providing us. We haven't gotten the exact confirmation of which it'll be, but there will either be a link or a promo code that you'll be able to use whenever you sign up for Action 247. That'll be directly tied with us. And I believe they're also going to be doing stuff for existing members as well. So kind of little promos during the season as well. It's going to be a chance to win some merch from them as well. They've been very, very gracious about that as well. And another thing that's going to be fun as well is all of Jake's picks that he makes each week he will actually have his own. I think it'll be listed under Vol Fanatics picks, or it could be listed under Raking with Jake picks, something like that. But on the Action 247 app, there will be a odds boost where you can do a 5-leg parlay based on the 5 picks that Jake gives us each week. And there will be an odds boost for that listed under, as I said, either Raking with Jake picks or Vol Fanatics picks as well. So it's going to be a fun season this year. We're very, very excited about this partnership. Once again, I hate that Skylar wasn't here to be able to put his 2 cents in on this, but we're both super excited about this. We've been hiding it for a little while because it hasn't been completely official, but the paperwork was signed yesterday. So we're super excited about this season.
Yeah, you could have told me about that part. I mean, the odds boost. I mean, not only are we raking, but we're gonna need a bigger rake. I mean, that's golly, that's awesome. Hopefully they're listening. But Action 247, I greatly appreciate it. You definitely got a great sponsorship with these guys. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to that. This is an exciting season. And Zach, you are right. You are absolutely right. I'm going to be absolutely digging in this season. So we'll have some really, really good picks this year. I think y'all said I went positive last year, so that was a positive. So
here's what I will say. We do not condone parlaying these together because it's not a guarantee, but it's very, very low odds, which is why it's giving an odd boost. All of these are plus money picks whenever you parlay them together because it's less chance of all of them happening at once. So we don't condone you going and parlaying these together. But you know what? If you feel like you want to, there's an odds boost there. If you feel like you need to, go ahead. I will say I won't have the number on the screen tonight, but if you do have a gambling problem, make sure you call that hotline number. It is 1-800-889-9789. Make sure that you do call that if there is a gambling problem. We will have a little ad read we have to do each week because of this. It's because of it basically covers Action 247 whenever we do some sort of gambling segment that has to be read at some point in there. But we're super excited this year. And without further ado, Jake, tonight you are going to be doing some win totals.
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing here? So
yeah, I teased the Western Kentucky game, big conference game coming up. We're in week 0, but I just thought I'd get something juicier. I can't come out of the gate giving y'all immediate gratification. So I need y'all to invest.
Is this one on that list? Because this is on my list here. So.
Hey, I don't want to give any hints, but my gosh, I do like that pick, and I'm wondering if that's minus money to get that over. So that's a great one. Do you want my pick on that one right now?
Yeah. If you think, what do you think? Over 8.5?
Oh gosh,
under.
I think we get over. I really do. I've got the battered Vol syndrome as much as anybody else does, but again, I have a lot of faith in what we're going to be able to do at the quarterback position. A lot of it rides on that. We're going to be fine. So you have a better defense than last year. You have an upgrade in almost every single positional unit outside of maybe running back, but top to bottom, your running back room should be a little bit better because you have a plethora of guys. So over 8.5. That's a side note. Gosh, can't believe you get me. That's a freebie, guys. That's a freebie. But yeah, no, you want me to get started? I mean, I can go ahead and start running through these.
Go for it, man.
Well, we talked a little bit about it. I'm glad that we talked a lot about what we had in Alabama and Georgia. Alabama over 9.5. That to me, just looking at their schedule, it's far easier. You're not going through the gauntlet that you may see some years that they have to do. They've got a ton of returning production on defense. I do believe, I know from a high level that their defensive backfield is very, very good. That's going to win them a ton of games. I think Ty Simpson's going to be the guy for them right now. I just don't see them falling off and regressing this season. On top of them being a little bit better this year, having more consistent production from the quarterback position, I see 10 and 11 pretty easy for Alabama. So over 9.5 is an easy one for me. That's taking that one to the bank. The second one, this is a brutal stat to me that tells you everything you need to know about Kentucky, aka the worst team in the SEC. They had 31 players enter the transfer portal. 31. They ain't keeping anybody. All their all SEC guys that they had for all SEC transferred. They're out. And it's important to realize the landscape of the game right now. It is, what can you do for me right now, especially with the NIL. The NIL is taken over. It's been a landstorm. It's shown you what's going on when it comes to apparel deals, what goes on with just company deals. Kentucky is always going to be a basketball school, and their head coach is, man, he needs to be on life support at this point. I don't see how anybody can really play for them right now. Knowing what I know and seeing kind of their body of work, there's nothing that really is positive for them this season. I don't see anything in their quarterback room. I don't see anything in their defense. Their defense has always been a staple. This is an easy one for me, under 4.5. I could see them going under 3.5. Yeah, brutal season for Kentucky. One that I love that is, I'm a little biased because I like to follow the Jimmies and Joes and not the X's and O's as much. Auburn has some studs this year, man. They have studs. We're not just talking about, oh, they got a guy here, they got a guy there. They've got legit, I counted it up. They've got Keldrick Falk. That guy's a top 10 pick next year. He's a top D end off the board right now. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt. Eric Singleton, another wide receiver who's a 1 to 2 round pick. Connor Liu, he's a top interior offensive lineman. Xavier Chaplin, another top interior offensive lineman. These are all draft eligible guys this year. These are all great pieces. If you're looking, you got a wide receiver, you've got a center, you've got guys all over the board on both sides of the ball, and you've got Cam Coleman, who I think is one of the best wide receivers.
I
He's
absolutely
a stud.
love Cam Coleman.
Jackson Arnold just has to do slightly better than what he did at Oklahoma. It's the same situation as Joey Aguilar. We put so much investment in these quarterbacks, but we don't realize what they have around them. They've got two guys who are probably first to second round picks at edge, one who would come the year after Keldrick Falk. They are going to be good. They lost 3 games last year by 1 possession. Okay. That is a huge deal when it comes to being able to coach through that. You can look at a team and say, hey, guys, this is how close we were. A lot of people will buy in. Hugh Freeze, I mean, he's a chaplain, man. He can preach it to you. So I don't have any doubt they're going to come ready to play. I think they set the tone against Baylor. They're going to beat Ball State, South Alabama, Missouri, Arkansas, Kentucky, Vandy, Mercer. Those are the 8 teams they should beat. It's right there.
I mean, that's a fair point there.
It's that easy. So Auburn over 7.5, one of my favorite picks of the season. Talked about it in the earlier segment. Georgia. I mean, guys, Gunnar Stockton can only do so much when you've got 9 different audibles thrown at him for Mike Bobo. Mike Bobo wants to call XY split, double tight, 7 wave, check into laser. It's not going to help anybody. With the way that Georgia plays, they've got some really good wide receivers who came in. They're going to have to understand at a high level what these audibles mean. It's just not going to click to me. They've got to play Florida, Alabama, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Texas. And you're telling me that they can't lose to 3 out of the 5 of those? I think it's very, very likely. Another interesting stat that I saw is out of their offensive line, which we know we correlate it to Alabama because Kirby Smart plays very Nick Saban-ish. They want to run the ball. They only have 35 combined starts on their offensive line returning. They don't have much there. Their defense might be good, but I looked at their roster. They don't have guys like they've had in the past. They're going to be good. Do I think they're going to be great? No, I think they sit right at 9. So, again, I think I picked 9-3 in my bet, maybe 10-2. My gut tells me they're going to drop some. They just don't have it there. It's been a minute since they've seen some real success.
Plus money play on this one, by the way.
It's a nice one. It's an unpopular pick, guys, but again, you just got to find them where you can. Last one. I know I'm going to get some hate on this. I'm just going to go ahead and name the national champion. I want to say there's a select few. I don't know who's watching right now. I picked Michigan to win the national championship when they won it that year before the season. Penn State reminds me so much of Michigan the year they won it. They had a great offensive line. They got 2 great running backs. Tell me that, what's his name? Drew Aller?
Drew Aller, yeah.
Aller, whatever his name is. The guy can ball, okay? We know he can ball. I don't think James Franklin is a world beater, but I think that he's got enough talent on this team to be able to overcompensate. It's just like J.J. McCarthy with Michigan. I think the guy can make the plays that it takes. Honestly, I think they go undefeated in the regular season because they got Ohio State on a bye week before, and then the only other top 25 team they have to play is Oregon. So they go 12-0. They smooth their way in. They're a little bit less tested, but it just works out for them, guys. I don't even know what the money is on that. I'm going to guess it's probably plus 600, plus 300, something around that line. This is a great pick for value.
They had the third best odds to win the national title going into the season.
Really?
According to Action 247, which is the only lines that we use, by the way,
they
have the third best odds sitting at plus 620. The only two teams that are ahead of them is Ohio State with plus 460 and Texas with plus 455.
Yeah, guys, Penn State is stupid talented. James Franklin is on testimony saying that this is the best defense he's had. Obviously, I think their offensive production is not going to take a step back. This is one of those teams that can do it all, and that's what you need in this landscape to win a natty. So Penn State's my national champion.
And you know what? I think that it could happen. My only issue with this one here is James Franklin. You can have the most talented team in the world, but he's never proven that he can win that big one. That's my only issue.
He was winning at Vandy.
Yeah, he was winning at Vandy. I'll give him that. But since he got to Penn State, and this is why I picked against Penn State so many times last year. It's almost like he knows what the lines are ahead of time. When he is favored, he has got an amazing record. Against teams that are ranked ahead of him, I think he's got, 2 wins, maybe, something like that. He's 2 in whatever. When he's plays against teams that are ranked below him, he's got an almost perfect record. I mean, he has very few losses whenever his team is the favorite, and he's got very few wins when his team is the underdog. It's one of those things. So if they end up being, the number 1 team in the nation this year, you know what? I think I'm riding with you. Penn State wins the national championship because history tells us that Penn State does not lose very often whenever they're the favorite. But you know what? You mentioned it. It's a great value. And, one of these, a play like this right here, Penn State winning the national title, if you catch it now at plus 620 odds, you can cash that out towards the end of the season and actually make money off of that, because the odds are just going to shorten from there. If it looks like that they're in line to win the national title, by the time it comes around, you might be seeing Penn State at plus 130 odds to win it all. You cash out, you can have, depending on how much you put on it, you can end up making some money on it. So very excited. We are 9 days away. 9 days away from college football returning for Tennessee. That is, we're actually 2 days away from college football returning. Period. I don't know about you, I'm excited for this Farmageddon game coming up this weekend. Kansas State versus Iowa State.
It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. You got Western Kentucky playing against Sam Houston. For those that are degenerate gamblers, you're going to know a lot of these lower tier games. Well, I guess you could call them lower tier. A lot of them, they're actually pretty good games, but the lower tier teams, I guess you would say, the group of 5 teams, you're going to know a lot of these. There's 4 games, I believe, on the docket this weekend in week 0, but then next weekend, is next weekend not the greatest weekend of the year? You literally have college football. Granted, not all of it is good college football, but you got college football on Thursday. You got college football on Friday. You got a whole slew of games on Saturday. You've got it, I think it's 1 game on Sunday or maybe a couple of games on Sunday, and you got at least 1 game on Monday as well. Is it not the greatest weekend of the year?
It's Christmas. It's Christmas.
It's better than Christmas.
To me, it's better than Christmas. I mean, the only thing you're missing is presents. And the presents I think we're going to get is going to see some great freaking matchups. I mean, this week 1, we're seeing so much. LSU at Clemson. I mean,
Texas at Ohio State.
There's a ton of them. Is it Notre Dame at Miami?
Yeah, I think Notre Dame at Miami. I mean, you've got some high tier matchups this weekend.
I mean, playoff implication games just like that. And so,
all right. So I want you to settle something. Me and Skylar have been talking about this for quite some time. We have differing opinions on this. The Texas-Ohio State game 1. Does that game have an impact on both of these teams' futures for the season?
Oh man, it does more so for Texas than Ohio State. I mean, Ohio State could drop this game, still lose to Penn State, beat Oregon, and they're in the playoffs. I think Texas, just the SEC slate's so difficult, it's going to be hard. I think there's implications for both of them. I do. I think but my coach speak's going to come out, and I'm going to say that every single week is a championship implication game. You just got to win each week. 1-0.
Yeah, exactly. But the way that Skylar describes it is, you can still go through and you can win your conference and make the playoffs. And I 100% agree with that. You can drop that game, you can go through, you can win the conference, you can make the playoffs doing that. But my argument is, all right, let's just use Texas, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
You lose that game to Ohio State. You can only afford to lose, one more game during the season? Unless you make the conference title and you win it. So let's just say you lose to Ohio State. You play Georgia late in the season. You lose that contest. You're 10-2. You still can win your last 2 games of the year, which is against, I think, a nobody team and then Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
Make the SEC title game, and you're in the playoffs. You're probably in the playoffs regardless at 10-2. But you lose to Ohio State. You lose to Georgia, and let's just say for this sake right here, you lose to Texas A&M in the last game of the season. You're 9-3. You're probably not making the SEC title game, and at 9-3, you're probably not making the playoffs. So that's my argument on that game is one of, if not the biggest game of the season, because of the playoff implications on that one. Obviously, other things can happen. You can still make the playoffs if you lose that game, but you can't afford to lose but maybe one more game on your schedule.
Yeah, you can visibly feel it when you've already got that one loss, man. I mean, you can feel it from the coaches. You can feel it from the players. Every play feels a little bit more important. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think that it all matters. I think this game has playoff implications for both teams. I do. And if anything, let's say they both make it, well, it still means they've implied a lower seed. So
yeah,
every game matters. If Tennessee won one more game in the regular season, we probably wouldn't have played Ohio State. Maybe we got Boise State.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't know how it goes. And the hardest part about this is you don't know who's going to be in the playoff talk in November. I mean, we could have 5 SEC teams sitting at 9-2, 8-2, and then what are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just looking at the schedule for week 1, which is next week, you got, of course, big one. That's Texas, Ohio State as far as a top 25 matchup goes. You've got LSU and Clemson. That's a top 10 matchup. Both of those are top 10 matchups. Just going down the list here. I know there's another one on here that's a top 25 matchup. So, yeah, Sunday, that's the Notre Dame-Miami game. That's a top 10 matchup as well. So, those are actually the only top 25 matchups for opening weekend, and all 3 of those are top 10 matchups.
It's just good stuff. It's just good stuff. That's all it is. It's just the best. We're here. I mean, 8 days. You lay your head tonight, lay your head on your pillow tonight. 8 more days. You work, you lay it back down, you get a little taste of it, and then we're here. When we're talking about all these games the week of, it's game week. So
yeah,
it's all great stuff.
Yeah, it's exciting, man. So, Jake, really appreciate you coming on tonight and filling in with Skylar for the entire show. And for those that don't have Jake on social media or anything, I do want to give a shout out, if you're okay with it, Jake.
Absolutely.
Everyone wish Jake congratulations, as Jake is now engaged him and his beautiful fiance. You said July the 10th of next year is the wedding, and that's also a year exactly from the day that y'all got engaged, correct?
Yep. And then from that, it's a year when we started dating. So we're just continuing the trend, keeping it consistent.
That's awesome. Congratulations,
Thank
Jake. Looking forward to seeing the future of you and your fiance as well. Appreciate you joining us tonight. Looking forward to a fun season of doing more Raking with Jake picks. Going to be an exciting year, especially with the sponsor that we announced earlier, Action 247. Skylar, miss you tonight, man. Looking forward to next week whenever you're back with us. I do want to give a shout out to Skylar, by the way, and this is a non-paid endorsement as well. Skylar and his family's company, Restoration 1 of Knoxville, they are working super hard right now. There's been several different places in Knoxville that have had water damage, fire damage, any sort of thing like that. Skylar's company is on call 24/7 to help you out. They've been working long hours this week on a big job, working 13, 14-hour days. So that's why Skylar was unable to make it tonight. But I do want to give a shout out to him, give a shout out to Restoration 1 for all of your restoration needs. Make sure you give them a call if you're in the Knoxville area, surrounding areas. They do a fantastic job. Once again, not paid endorsement on that one, but just had to give a shout out to Skylar, give a shout out to his company as well. Really looking forward to having him back on the show next week. And that's whenever we will be starting. So giving you a rundown of next week just ahead of time, we're going to be doing a preview on the Syracuse matchup. We're going to give our Tennessee schedule predictions. We're going to make picks, and we're going to go raking with Jake. So it's going to be a fantastic show next week. Really looking forward to it. Make sure that you spread the word. Follow us on all of our social media. Give us a subscribe. Sorry, getting ahead of myself on YouTube. Check out the website as well, allfanatics.com. Jake, once again, thank you for coming on. Make sure that you follow Jake on all social media as well. Jake, I'm going to make sure I get that from you next week. That way we can post it in our YouTube description and people can find you. Anything else before we close out this awesome show tonight?
No, just thank you to Action 247. Super excited about this season. Hope to make y'all very proud with the picks, and I hope to make people a lot of money this year. But again, exciting football season. Michael, I'm elated to be on here, and I look forward to next week.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Everyone, go Big Orange.
Absolutely.